Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a text box, but before I do that, I'm going to lock my action so I don't accidentally start putting artwork in that layer. Click on the bottom layer, and over here I'm going to go ahead and type in the word Fullerton, and I'll make the text a little bit bigger. In fact, I think what I'll do is I'll make it all caps. Make that bigger. All right, so let's just make it an even 100. I'll make the box bigger yet, and I'm just trying to size it down so that it's more or less the right size, and I'll center it this way. Okay, so back I'm doing a command 2 and a command 1, and I'll grab my selection tool and I'm going to center it vertically and horizontally, and now I'm going to break it apart, command B, and what this does is it essentially makes the letters into their own individual text boxes. Then what I want to do is I want to distribute them to their own layers. Command Shift D is the shortcut key. Uh, if Sometimes you'll need to use the FN key, but in this particular case it's just a shortcut. So Command Shift D, and you'll see that all the letters get distributed to their own layer. Now it doesn't matter whether all the layers are selected or if all the artwork is selected. One or the other has to be selected in order to do the animation. So I'm going to go to the Insert drop-down menu, and I'm going to slide down to Create a Classic Tween. And it wants to convert these into symbols, and it will. And over here in the library, you can see now in here that all the symbols were created. Okay, so it automatically created the duration of the frame length, which my current frame, if I click here, you can see that it's 24. That's why it gave me 24 frames. It looks like it's not centered too well. So let me go back to the first frame so I can select my artwork. And I'm just going to nudge it with my cursor and just kind of eyeball it. And maybe a little lower. Okay, so here's the trick. We want to have everything end over here on this frame over here. So while I'm on this frame in here, I'm going to do an F6 on all of these frames in here. So I'm holding the Shift key down and I'm clicking straight down. So here's how I'm doing it. Two ways to do it. You can click once, let go, slide down to the bottom, then hold the Shift key down and you select all the frames. Then I'm going to insert a keyframe. I can do a right click over here and go to Insert Keyframe, or I can do an F6, which is the shortcut key. So Convert to Keyframe automatically puts that in. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to click away, and let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see. I'm going to click and drag straight down, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to click, then let go, then drag straight down, because you're going to mess things up. See how I lost the F over here? Let me do an undo. What you want to do is click away so that nothing is selected, then click, don't let go, drag straight down, and then you've got all those frames. Then you can do an F6. Or you can do a right click and do a insert or convert to keyframe. Okay, so let me close this up a little bit more, and now I can start my animation. This is where I want everything to arrive. This is what I want to be seen. So I'm going to slide this over to the left, and now I'm going to grab this frame over here, and I'm going to drag this out here, right to the edge. I'm going to grab this guy over here. I'm going to drag him right out to the edge. Now I'm going to select all my letters, which are now converted into graphic symbols, and I'm going to go back to the alignment, turn off the align to stage, and I'm going to space them out evenly over here. And so that spreads them out. And now if I scrub the playhead, you can see that all the letters are coming together. And just to make it a little fancy, what I'll do now is I'm going to select all of these while they're on the first frame, and I'm going to go to my color effects, and I'm going to change the alpha to 0. And so that way they're going to fade in and get smaller at the same time. Okay, so if I run this, you'll see that it's not centered on my artboard. Oh, I guess it is. I did center it. Okay, so let's run it and take a look and see what it's doing. So right now what I need is to put a stop on it, so I'll do that. And I'll come back to my actions layer, go to the very last frame. I'm going to right click and give myself a keyframe in here, insert keyframe or convert to keyframe, either one will work. And so there's a keyframe for my actions. I would do a right click and call up the actions, and I want to put in a stop. So this is the syntax. This is defining the subject of the sentence, and the subject is this canvas that we're working on. And then the predicate, or what we want it to do, comes next, and that's just the word stop. And then a semicolon. Because this is a function format, in essence what it really is a method for the canvas. So that any kind of a function that's attached to an object is considered to have its own methods. They're essentially the same thing. It's certainly safe to think about it, but the terminology is that this is going to be a method for the canvas, and it stops it. So now when we do a command return, it stops right where we need to be. Okay, so that's option one for animating with text, and I'll stop this one in here, and in the next movie I'll show you another text animation option.